Okay, the meeting will come to order. Welcome, everyone, and happy Lunar New Year to all. I'd like to do a sound check to the campuses, please. Donna Cataldo, downtown.
Hi, good afternoon.
Here as well?
Yes.
Okay. Polytechnic? Keith?
I'm unmuted? Oh, okay.
You're unmuted?
Can you hear?
Yes, Polytechnic. Keith?
Marianne?
I pressed. Will that just go away?
Yes, we can hear you, Keith. Thank you. Alejandra? West?
Right. We're here. Can you hear us?
We can hear you.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll now calculate the quorum.
Unmuted or mute?
For each of us, we're going to calculate it separately. So if you will list which campus you're coming from. Okay. All right. It looks like we have, if the downtown Poly and West would verify those results. Tempe, it looks like 50 is about appropriate here. Are any of those results different from what you have in the room? If so, break in. Okay. Hearing none. Let's triangulate these results with a question.
Sorry. It takes a while for the mic to get in. Somebody at West might have clicked it twice because it's 7.
There's 7. Okay.
Or somebody, okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
Kathleen, we're too shy.
Okay, let's triangulate the results of the question. Which answer correctly describes the makeup of the Senate University Academic Council?
Chuck, could you do anything to fix it? It's blurry for us.
The UTO folks would need to address that, so there's nothing I can do.
Okay.
All right, looks like 82 responses. So looks like that's good. Oh, okay. The answer is D. Oh, wait a minute. B, C, D,
C.
E. C. Sorry, my it's D. The Senate President, Campus President-elects, presidents, and past presidents make up the UAC. Okay. As a reminder, if there are technical questions, there will be a 10-minute recess. If we lose video only, we'll continue, but if we lose audio and can't restore it in that time, we will cancel the meeting. I'd like to remind the senators and speakers in Tempe that when speaking to use the microphone so you could be heard, and we would appreciate if all senators would mute their mics on the on downtown Poly and West unless speaking to the entire Senate. And any persons addressing the Senate should please state their name. As a caution, we're also going to be showing a video sometime today, so if Poly, West, or downtown cannot quite hear it or have any technical difficulties, we'll make sure that we give you a link to the video so that you'll have the information. It's my pleasure to begin this meeting with a very special guest. Eileen Klein, who's president of the Arizona Board of Regents, has some information for us on what the board meeting, the upcoming board meeting will be looking at, and in general, how we can help faculty to support the enterprise of the universities here in Arizona. So without further ado, Eileen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity to visit with you again. I was here last year and appreciate the chance just to keep you connected to the Arizona Board of Regents and their work as the strategic and fiduciary leaders of the Arizona University Enterprise. And I'm delighted that today the chairman of the board, Regent Greg Patterson, is here with us today. Regent Patterson. As a reminder, he's one of 9 members appointed by the governor, and the board holds all legal authority for all 3 universities. And that topic I'll visit again later on today because that's a discussion underway at the Arizona legislature. But today I'd just like to give you a brief update, a little bit about where we are in terms of the board's business cycle for the year and where we are with the Arizona legislature in terms of some key funding and policy requests that I know you all care about. So at the February board meeting that will take place on campus here later this week, it is the official kickoff to the tuition setting season at Arizona's public universities, where we begin to sort through all of the financial materials necessary to begin the tuition setting process. And it's not lost on you, our families, our students, how much pressure there is around tuition right now. And in fact, most recently at the legislature, we've been under a lot of discussion and debate about whether tuition should be capped. As you know, that would be very challenging for the business models that have been developed in advance by the universities. And so we'll stay in touch through Kathleen around all of those proposals, but we remain very concerned about the tenuous nature with which we are in terms of funding with the state legislature. So we'll go through the tuition setting process that culminates in tuition setting in the April meeting, but in between we'll have detailed presentations from the presidents. Now we have tuition proposals that are connected to strategic initiatives and the overall strategic plan of the university, and there's much more transparency in the process, and Regents will begin those deliberations starting next week. In terms of state funding from the legislature, the state, as you know, still allocates over $700 million to our base budgets. About $500 million of that really is for general operating purposes. The other dollar amounts are allocated for the colleges of medicine and other special line items. And of course, the main objective every year is not just to preserve those dollars, but make sure we continue to build on them. As of now, the state only provides about 34.5% of the cost of educating on average one of our resident students. And with your support, 2 years ago, we worked very hard to convince the legislature that we need to change the funding model so that the legislature is now putting more dollars directly behind resident students. That has been very successful. This past fall, the board made a play to ask the legislature to accelerate the implementation of what we call the resident student funding model to get from where we are today, 34% of the state funding going to educate resident students, and to get us up to a 50-50 split, recognizing education is both a public and a private good. We want the state to share at least 50% of the cost of educating our resident undergrads. That would take over $200 million to go from where we are today to get to the 50% funding model. So the board prioritized accelerating the implementation of the formula so that within 3 years we could get to the 50-50 share with the state. With that, we also prioritized some capital funding. As you know, we have some extreme and aggregating needs right now around capital maintenance and refurbishment apart from investment, and so the board prioritized capital funding as well. Where we wound up with the governor's State of the State, 5 days after the State of the State, the governor releases his budget recommendations. He has recommended that another $15 million be put behind the resident student model, which is encouraging. We hope that we can see more dollars go there. But importantly, he's also introduced an opportunity for us to create a new program to bond for capital infrastructure at our universities. Right now, the state owes close to $700 million in capital outlay dollars. That's for just building maintenance and refurbishment. That's been a long-standing need of the state that they have not been able to take care of. And again, that doesn't count dollars that we would need for additional investment. So Dr. Crow has been working closely with our other university presidents and the board to talk to the legislature about the opportunity to recapture sales tax dollars, transaction privilege tax dollars, so that those could be deployed and be used as a revenue source that we could bond against, to not just take care of all of the pent-up capital needs, but to continue to invest in additional new infrastructure that we need for academic classrooms and for research facilities. So the cities, as you have probably heard, are quite opposed, including the city of Tempe, because they really lay claim to the transaction privilege tax. We'd like to partner with the cities because we believe that going forward, this amount of money, right now it's about $35 million, represents about 1/1000% of the total receipts to cities, and we think they would stand to gain from additional investment in our university campuses. So we are actively pursuing that opportunity with the legislature, along again with dollars for additional student support. I don't want to suggest in any way that we think that that is satisfactory. The board's very eager to see more dollars being dedicated, but absent voter initiative or some other means to create a larger amount of money to dedicate to universities, right now we are going to have to continue to work within the margins that exist in additional revenues that's being generated at the state level. So your teams have been actively involved in that. In addition, we continue to pursue health insurance reform. As you know, part of our regulatory reforms that we've been seeking at the state level have included allowing our university system to self-insure. I don't want this mistaken for abandoning insurance. The idea is to have the universities procure on their own an employee health insurance program that's really tailored for us. Today, we're swept up into the state employee health insurance program. I've shared a little bit with you about that before. And as a result, we are subsidizing to the tune of about $25 million the overall state employee pool. So our desire is to drive down costs, make sure we're tailoring benefits that work for our faculty and for our staff, and to, at the same time, make sure that we are tailoring the benefits design and saving dollars. The reason this is more important than ever is that no longer are we in a situation where the state underwrites the universities and sends dollars over and recaptures them. Today, with so many dollars to help fund our operations being supported by tuition, we also think there's a case to be made that we don't need to impact tuition dollars and have those tuition dollars directed to defray the health care costs of other state employees. So we're very eager to continue the reform work in that space, and we do have some potential sponsorship of legislation at the Capitol. The state is not eager to give up the subsidy, as you can imagine, so this is going to take some negotiations so that over time, and as the state seeks reprocurement of its health care benefits, that we can be separated and allowed to tailor our own programs. So there is not yet a defining notion of how the benefits would be tailored. There's been active discussion among the CFOs about whether, and our personnel teams, about whether those should be independently bid as universities or aggregated statewide. But the point is to allow university employees in some fashion to be pooled for the advantage of our meeting our employee needs. In addition, in the governor's State of the State, he announced that he would like to work with Arizona's public universities on a teacher's academy. Provost Searle has been actively leading this effort with the other provosts to define what that might look like to build on the work of our colleges of education and working in partnership with our deans. We also see an opportunity to help innovate in other spaces for the state, knowing it will be very challenging to remediate all of the teacher shortages and the access that we know students need to the curriculum to get properly prepared by just trying to grow the traditional pipeline. So the provosts have begun a conversation, and I've been part of that so far, and we'll be working again at this board meeting to continue to develop the plans. The governor's asked for some feedback within 90 days, and we'll be working closely with the provosts and obviously keeping you up to date on how those plans come together. To be sure, it's going to take not just longer than 90 days probably to devise a plan, but certainly to implement it. But we're very encouraged that the governor has turned to the universities to become part of the solution set that's needed to help address the teacher shortage. In addition, there has been a lot of conversation at the Capitol about our finance mechanism and our governance model. Last week, there was a bill that would cap tuition, as I mentioned earlier, and while the bill has been held for now so that the bill sponsor can have conversations, we remain very concerned about efforts to ratchet down, not so much on tuition, but on the mechanisms we've used to provide more flexibility to the university finance model, to have the state university system not receive state dollars and not have the flexibility to tailor tuition so that we can be more market-based where it's appropriate and then limit charges where we need to. It's going to result in some major setbacks to our overall finance structure. So we want to continue the conversation with the policymakers, and I'm very grateful to Sylvia Allen for holding the bill so that we can have additional conversations and again work to find a solution that is going to actually not hinder us in our finance structure. It's very clear the bill sponsor wants to see more transparency in tuition setting. She wants to make sure that families know what they're in for over the course of the next several years. And to that point, we need to continue to help educate around the efforts ASU has made to do long-term revenue projections off of tuition and long-term business planning around tuition so that policymakers are very clear and families are very clear about what to expect when they enroll. And in addition, we hope to parlay that into bigger conversations around student financial aid, because we know the state lacks a state-based financial aid model, and we really count on all of our receipts to go to defray the costs of educating students. Today, about 82% of our students get some sort of aid, and we don't want to see that program upended by arbitrary caps on tuition. Finally, I will just mention that today the board is meeting over in the Fulton building. The Board of Regents will meet on it. It's a special meeting that we are having this afternoon to take on a piece of legislation for discussion and debate. House Bill 2359 has been introduced that would effectively abolish the substance of the Arizona Board of Regents and devolve the fiduciary role to local governing boards, and in effect create 3 university systems. So this kind of debate about the university governance structure has come up several times in the past several years. This board has not had a chance to opine, and so I applaud the board for taking the topic on, for holding a public discussion, and really deliberating in public why we have chosen the enterprise model. So our model of the enterprise notion, where we are not a traditional hierarchy, we don't have a chancellor system, I'm not the chancellor of the system, but instead we run a very flat structure where presidents can be true academic CEOs and help advance their institution against their own objectives that contribute to a larger cause. We believe that not only is there great value in that, we think there's great efficiency in that. So we're not at this point convinced that the governance structure is the problem. I'm further convinced that some of the reason for creating 3 systems is ultimately to allow students to compete for university slots, and I am very concerned about ultimately what the impacts and effects could be if there's an effort to devolve into 3 systems that begin to limit access to public university education. So the board today will take up that conversation and will continue to work with the legislature on that proposal. Finally, I just would mention, and I'll wrap up here, that I appreciate all of the support and dedication you've had. I know a lot of you have come through some very challenging times over the past decade in university governance and management and leadership. And day-to-day, making sure that you're dedicated to the quality our students get is very, very important. I do hope that this can become a forum for helping to develop the thoughts of faculty that can be actively used to engage in public policy debates, whether it's having Dr. Puckett talk more at the board meetings about the position of faculty, or even just you talking more publicly about your thoughts as faculty right now in this higher education changing landscape, I think would be very valuable. So I look forward to working working with you. And I thank you again for the opportunity to just come and talk about all of the conditions out there under which we're trying to operate and to partner with you toward greater success. Thank you. I'd be happy to if we have time.
We'll give you time.
Okay.
Manage it. I usually try to go to the, okay, I'd like to go to Alejandra at West. Do your people have any questions, please?
No, we don't have any questions, thank you.
Thank you. Keith at Polytechnic?
No questions here, thank you.
Thank you. Donna, downtown.
No questions from downtown campus.
All right, now I'll open it up to Tempe. Does anyone here have any questions of Eileen Klein? We have one coming to the microphone. I'll relieve.
Hi, thank you very much for your presentation. It was very useful. I have a question that actually doesn't touch on the presentation, but has more to do with the events of this past weekend. This is going to impact our students. It's going to impact travel abroad. It's going to really affect the universities and their work a lot. Is there any thought, is the Board of Regents or the universities going to make any kind of statement of support for the students and the faculty who might get inadvertently caught up?
All right, thank you for that question. And it's a really important one. The presidents and I talked off and on over the weekend, as they did with the chair as well. I'm encouraged that there have been some further developments to clarify some of the policies, particularly with the impact to individuals who hold green cards, as they're commonly known. I am actively working with the state higher education officials. Our university presidents are working with their counterparts nationally to make sure that we have an opportunity to engage around a thoughtful discussion about the impacts, but also to make sure that we are working to preserve opportunities for individuals who are here from other nations, who are here for legitimate purposes of research and for study. We want to preserve those while at the same time work in the spirit of national security. I don't expect the board will take a position today. We're not noticed to do that. This obviously developed over the weekend, and we can't meet public meeting notices. But our presidents, I know, are actively concerned, and we want to make sure that any impacts are minimized to our faculty and to our students.
Thanks for the question and thanks for the opportunity. We have already emailed our international students who are from the listed countries to assure them that we are doing everything that we can to make sure that they are safe and that they understand the rules, and have counseled them that travel abroad is not advisable at this particular point in time, and that we will continue to monitor the situation. Clearly, this decision of the government goes against our values of inclusion rather than exclusion, but we have written them. I've written all international students separately with a similar message, but less directed, because I wanted to speak directly to the students from the 7 countries. And a message will be coming out either later today or tomorrow from President Crow, well, it might be me or President, one of the two of us, to the university community. And so that will be also done. I should tell you the President on Sunday or Saturday, I can't remember which it was, because as Eileen said, this has been transacting all weekend, sent a message to the university management team, which is about 600 plus leaders at the university, expressing his concerns and that we are working on it, and we will continue to monitor it as everybody else is.
Thank you, Provost Searle.
Are there any other questions here in Tempe? Thank you so much for your time and for your attention. And we look forward to exploring ways that we continue to work with the Board of Regents, who are partners with us in this enterprise and in trying to make education affordable and accessible to everybody here in Arizona. As many of you know, last week the Arizona ASU Foundation launched a major initiative, a campaign, and we have Gretchen Bulig here to tell us about it and to talk about how the Senate and the rest of the faculty might be able to participate or be further informed on it. Thank you. And this will also include a video. So if Tempe, if Poly West and downtown are having any difficulties, we'll make sure you get the link to it.
Good afternoon. I'm delighted to be here, and as was shared just previously, we had a very exciting week last week. On Friday, we went public with Campaign ASU 2020 and had a very exciting event the night before, which we'll share a little bit at the end of this presentation, but I'm delighted to be able to publicly now talk about Campaign ASU 2020. We've been in the quiet stages for the better part of 4 years, so I'm excited to share with you what the campaign is about. As you can see from the first slide, our theme, our tagline for the campaign is "Together, Our Potential is Limitless." And just to remind you, this campaign is focused on philanthropy. This is really the areas where we'd say providing that level of excellence, chairs, professorships, all the wonderful things that provide that level of excellence to the student and faculty experience. So our campaign is focused on outcomes and impact. If you know Dr. Crow well, you know that it's not just about numbers, it's about what we do with the funds. It is a 10-year campaign. We started counting in fiscal year 11, and this campaign will go till June 30th, 2020. It's built around 6 key objectives, which I'll share with you in a bit. The campaign is not just for the ASU Foundation, it's the university's campaign, and that's a really important point to share with you. It's for students, it's for faculty, it's for the communities, it's for alumni. We are just providing the tool and the mechanism to help increase and call attention and focus to the importance of philanthropy. Obviously, it provides a discipline and structure. This sets priorities, or the units and the colleges and the institutes around the university have gone through the process of setting priorities for key areas that philanthropy can provide that level of excellence. It's an also important tool for us within the foundation to help build what we call the culture of philanthropy. And that's really important, is to, when we say build the culture of philanthropy, that's not only about just securing gifts, but being able to educate our staff, faculty, students, parents, the community about what philanthropy can do, whether that may be you hold an endowed professorship. What does that mean? We walk next to Wrigley Hall. Why is it named Wrigley Hall? Being able to share that information and really elevate that. Coming out of the campaign, what we hope to achieve is a steady state of philanthropy at $225 million. Our steady state has been somewhere in the range of like 160 to 175. And when I say steady state, that's a baseline of fundraising. That's what we can anticipate year after year. Obviously, there are times where we have extraordinary gifts, which are wonderful to celebrate, and that can really be that difference of pushing. But we would like to be able to say to the university, you can count on us year after year, $225 million in philanthropy coming over to the university. Also, through the course of the campaign, we want to see expanded roles with our donors and our philanthropists partnering with the university. We also want to see, coming out of this campaign, a formal volunteer leadership structure. Compared to other universities that have been doing this a very long time, they have a strong base of volunteers that sit as governing boards, advisory boards, councils within units and throughout the university. That's something that's relatively new for us. And over the course of this campaign, we hope to build a stronger infrastructure that will continue beyond the campaign. So here are our 6 core objectives. And you're going to see these throughout the campus and in lots of materials over the course of the campaign. You can see that we have 2 that are focused in on students, ensuring student access and excellence, champion student success. Our 3rd objective is about the communities, so this really does tie to the whole charter of the university. The 4th objective is around creativity, discovery, and innovation. This is really in the research space. The fifth one, very important, is elevating the academic enterprise. We've done one of the things that we want to do over the course of the campaign is obviously increase the number of endowed chairs, professorships, fellowships. And then our last campaign objective is focused on Sun Devil competitiveness. We have a very large financial goal around Sun Devil athletics. There's new facilities. As you know, we've been under the Sun Devil Stadium reinvention. There's other facilities that are going to be built over the course of the campaign. And so there's such intensive focus, we felt that we needed to have one objective around Sun Devil competitiveness. So this is our progress, and now that we've gone public, this is out there. You can see this. You'll see this on websites within your units as well as the ASU Foundation. We've done a fabulous job. Our goal is to raise at least, and I stress at least, $1.5 billion between now and June 30th, 2020. We're already at very close to $1.1 billion. We're at 72% of raising the money, which is very exciting. Most campaigns will go public once they're at 50%, so we're doing very well. And then you can see our progress towards each objective, and you can see the very first one, we've already hit it. So that's very exciting. We will set some stretch goals associated with that, but again, this is all public information that you can now receive. You can see the remaining three objectives and where we stand financially. We're also tracking non-monetary goals and outcomes. For instance, you can see the very first one is tracking the amount of student scholarships over the course of the campaign. Impressive number, 55,000 students have received philanthropic gifts over the course of the campaign. How many leadership volunteers? So you can see it's a very low number. We hope to see that double or triple in the course of the campaign. And then chairs and professorships. This isn't all chairs and professorships. These are new ones that have been established since fiscal year 11. And clearly we'd love to see that number grow dramatically. And then another important tool for us is the legacy. As you can imagine, many alumni, we would love for them to be thinking about ASU when they're thinking about their estate planning. So we have a very concentrated effort on estate and gift planning. So how can you help with the campaign? You can act as ambassadors for the campaign, get to know the priorities for the campaign and get to know what the funding priorities are within your unit. Help us build a pipeline for support. You, as faculty, are engaging with students. You have relationships with alumni, and we'd be happy to work side by side with you to foster those relationships. That if it's right, that philanthropy is something that alum might be interested in, making sure that we can make that an easy process. And then, serve as a voice for us. There's nothing more important than telling stories. It's not about the numbers. It's about how does philanthropy impact what? How does it impact our students? Being able to tell those student stories, tell the faculty stories are really important. So we have resources available. This is just an example. This is our university case statement. Each college and unit and institute have a case statement. This is an example of a case statement for the Mary Lou Fulton Teachers College. And then you all should have received Campaign 101. This is a magazine that was created to really lay out the basics of what a campaign is, debunk any myths about campaign, what is philanthropy used for. It also summarizes some of the goals for each one of the units. And if you don't have that, we're happy to get this to you. We've got plenty of them. It's going out to all of our alumni. Over 400,000 people will be receiving this piece. And then here is our website, which went live on Friday. Lots of great information. There's video testimonies in there, more information on details for the campaign. We do connect in with the majority of the unit websites. There'll be something that connects in a give section on unit websites that will then connect into this campaign website. And then, as I started in the beginning, on Friday, we went formally public with our campaign, the night before we had a wonderful dinner with 800 of our closest friends on the Chase Field. And it was an amazing evening, and it was really to set the stage why. Dr. Crow was able to lay out why a campaign, why now. And so these are just some pictures, and I thought it would be fitting to end with the final video that was shared at this event. So we'll turn it to that.
And on top of student success, all of the requirements that come with providing quality education to students. There needs to be a reason that students will want to come to ASU. The reputation is there already, and just providing more infrastructure, more community involvement, and more opportunities for students will only help to continue to draw the best and brightest students to ASU.
I believe in the power of doing things that will have a lasting impact beyond the value of the monetary gift you may give or the words you may use. Those things will be passed on from that person to the next and the next generation and so forth.
So good ideas, transformative ideas are not enough. These new programs, new schools, new offering, new imaginings, new ways to take learnings from the research labs and implement them into society, into new products or services, wouldn't be possible without the support of donors.
And the private funding, I think, makes innovation possible. But it is at a point in history right now where I think people will look back at where we are right now and say, those were the days that started everything.
You have the opportunity to be part of that change. Get involved, get active, because this is it. We want to be part of this.
When you see something start to grow and you take notice, people want to be part of it, and it just becomes like, okay, I'm in, and so, yeah, I'm definitely in.
I didn't hesitate to become involved as a donor. It was an easy choice.
Whatever it is that makes you excited, I think you should support it.
It is the recruitment of hundreds and thousands of people that you really make these things happen over time.
When ASU has the resources to achieve its wildest dreams, that future looks like ASU being the answer to every question.
Getting behind that financially, I felt like can be multiplied.
So what philanthropic support can do for ASU is limitless.
This dream of creating a new model of higher education, it's not just my dream. It's a dream of thousands of faculty, students, staff that make up the core of this institution. It's the dream of hundreds of thousands of ASU alumni, supporters, and all of us together. We're working to make the world a better place by building this new kind of institution. We all think that this can really be a powerful force for change, and that bright and promising tomorrow literally starts today, right now.
So I welcome you to join us on Campaign ASU 2020.
Do we have any questions? I don't see the remote campuses yet, so any questions here in Tempe? Okay, Alejandra at West.
We don't have any questions. Thanks.
Polytechnic, questions or comments?
No questions here, thank you.
Thank you. Donna, downtown?
No questions from downtown campus.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And I have a question. Is there a way that faculty can contribute easily, like payroll deduction or something like that?
Absolutely.
So tell us about it.
Yes, we are making it very easy if you would like to contribute. Obviously, we have online mechanisms to make gifts. that are out there. I would encourage you, obviously, to get on the website. You can easily make a gift through that, or speak to your development officer within each one of your units, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. But most definitely, we want to make it very easy, and we want to make it a great experience for you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving along in the agenda, we've had a number of questions to come forward to the Senate over this year that only Morgan Olson can answer. So we've asked him to come and tell us about his side of the house, Executive Vice President, Vice President, Treasurer, and CFO of ASU, and I know he will also answer any questions or refer us to other ways that we can get some more communication going back and forth. So without further ado, Morgan.
Thanks, Kathy, and it's a pleasure having the opportunity to be here with you this afternoon. I'm not going to try to compete with that awesome campaign video. I was at the event on Thursday night. It was excellent. We had all kinds of Arizona State University friends and supporters there. And of course, as Gretchen was pointing out, we're sure hopeful that that pays dividends over the next several years in terms of additional support for the mission of Arizona State University. A lot of things going on. I think you heard from Eileen Klein a little bit about the region's priorities and what we're working on legislatively. So there's a lot of focus on that right now. Got a good recommendation from the governor. So obviously there's a focus on trying to make sure that that is not only sustained, but ideally that we can even improve on that as we work through the process with the legislature. So that's great. The only other thing I would mention is that while I appreciate the kudos, I'm only as good as my team, and we do have a good team. ASU is a large, complex place with a lot of things going on simultaneously. That's sort of part of the new American university thing we're all working on under President Crow's leadership. I know that there are some things that you have questions about, and so I'll be happy to try to address those, but I thought I would mention just a couple of things first. We're working as we typically do with Becky Ladd. I don't know, is Becky, there's Becky right there. So we're working with Becky Ladd, who chairs your Committee on University Services and Facilities. Typically, that is where we engage with this body on all kinds of things, both large and small, exciting and not so exciting. But our goal is always to try to facilitate the work of the university. And so anything that we can do within our power to make people's work lives better or make it easier for them to conduct their research or their teaching, we're happy to do. Right now, we're sort of in this phase where the university's physical infrastructure is developing very significantly. On Thursday, we took a look at a number of projects on this campus. So we've got the $120 million Biodesign C building going in, which is going to support a lot of research activities, primarily in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences and the Fulton Schools of Engineering. We have projects going on all of our campuses. We're planning a Hayden Library renovation. So just a lot of exciting things going on. For some of you sports fans, we've got a little tiny stadium project going on, and later on this afternoon I'm going to go with some of my colleagues and we're going to visit with the Tempe City Council about the development of our athletic facilities district, which will be at the north end of the Tempe campus, and will have very positive benefits not only for the university and the Tempe campus, but also for the city of Tempe's downtown, and we think the valley as a whole. So lots of exciting things going on. A couple of things we're working with the University Services and Facilities Committee on are various aspects of campus safety, looking at things like personal safety. We have very safe campuses. We're fortunate that that is the case, but we know that we can always do better, and it's important that we help people help themselves. And so anything that we can do to improve personal safety is a priority for us, so a number of initiatives there. We're also taking a look at some things we might do in terms of laboratory safety, handling of hazardous materials, et cetera. And maybe most importantly, communications. There are often a lot of resources, and one of the things we try very hard to do is make those easily accessible to people. But we're all very busy. We're all very focused on what we do day to day, and so anything that we can do to make information more accessible to people is something that we're interested in. There's actually a wealth of information out on the Chief Financial Officer's part of the website, relating to parking and laboratory safety and financial services and facilities and ways that people can share requests for service, get information, etc. Part of the feedback that Becky's committee provided was, well, yeah, that's true, but not all of us are very familiar with that. Are there ways that we can make that more easily accessible? So we're thinking about things and working with the committee on how we might do that, including more linkages with the MyASU portal. One of our projects over the next year or so in the Office of Human Resources is to develop a new, what we're calling, learning portal for faculty and staff, so that all of the information that's available to people can be provided more easily in one location with links that give people reminders. I know we're all excited about this year's training for information technology security. The world we live in today, those sorts of things need to be dealt with, and so how do we make that easier for people? And so we're looking at ways that we can be more supportive and helpful and make it easier for people to get the information they need. The university's made a lot of investments in a centralized information desk that you can call, and they can either answer most questions directly or provide referrals and connections, to either people or knowledge bases or videos or other informational sources in an easy-to-access format. So just a couple of things that are going on, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're busy today, so I'll just throw it open for questions, if that's okay, Kathy.
So, West, Alejandra, you're in my left-hand screen, so I go to you first. Does your group have any?
But we have no questions. Oh.
None? Okay. Keith, Polytechnic?
You had the answer.
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Donna Cataldo, Downtown?
I don't believe we have any questions in downtown either.
All right. Here in Tempe campus? Elaine?
Hi, Helene Osipov from the Tempe campus. This is just kind of a minor thing, but maybe you can answer because it says CFO on the website, and has to do with the passport office, which is a great convenience. It's wonderful to be able to get the passport here on campus, that kind of thing. Except when I went last time, on Friday, I went to get my picture, drop off my passport renewal, only to find out that they don't do passport renewals. So it would be nice if that were clear on the website, that it's only new passports. Or if they could also do the passport renewals, it would just be more even more convenient than it already is.
Sure, and I apologize, I have to admit to a little bit of ignorance. Honestly, I thought we did do passport renewals, but Rudy Bellavia is here someplace, and he's taking a note, unless you know the answer, but and I'm pretty sure that I've done the same. I do know that there are sometimes things that we look at and kind of scratch our heads and say, well, why don't we do this, or why do we do something in a particular way? And that is because we are basically deputized by the U.S. State Department, and they are fairly particular. When things involve the State Department about how they're done, and et cetera. So, for example, for certain types of documents, they're not able to take personal checks. And so I've myself had to sort of trundle off to the bank and get a cashier's check to pay for services, and so those types of things drive us crazy, and the more of that we can streamline, we want to do, because we understand people are busy and we want to make sure they're making efficient use of their time. Like most things we do, I think we absolutely have an opportunity to do better, and we will definitely check, and I will get back with you personally on that particular item. But I agree with you, with our community and the international nature of it and the work that faculty and others do around the world, it's a fantastic resource to have that, and we want to make it as easy for people to use as possible. So thanks for that.
Yeah, I had done my passport renewal 10 years ago also, so I guess maybe it was a new thing, or it could be the person was misinformed. The person who was working behind
through,
the
and
desk.
to the extent that we're able to fix it, we will.
Thank you.
We're not done
Well,
yet.
if I could, get out.
Morgan, I'm Jim Ernzen with the School of Construction.
Hi, Jim.
Got a question on traffic. We're doing a lot of building, you know that, and I think everybody in the room probably does too. I've been to several meetings where we've seen things laid out as far as future plans for different parts of the area. And it always confuses me that, for example, we built these beautiful buildings down here at the lake for State Farm, including 8,000 car parking garage, but did not see the need to add an extra lane to much of anything in terms of ability to get those cars in and out. As we continue to build out the Stadium District area, I've had these questions for the folks in Tempe, and they all kind of say, we've done the traffic study and it's no problem. I don't know if anybody else has any more trouble getting home at night than I do now than it was a couple of years ago, but it seems to me that it's getting worse. Do we have any solutions going forward? I know we want to increase the light rail and we want to do that kind of thing, but for those of us that don't live close to that still have to drive in every day and drive home every night, it doesn't seem like we're doing much in the way of infrastructure to help that out. Just a comment.
No, excellent observations, and let me just share a couple of things with you. First, on Marina Heights, which is the development in which State Farm is located. They're finishing up their last building here sometime this spring. Big development. In fact, it's actually the largest commercial office development in history of the Valley. So ultimately, about 2 million gross square feet in 5 buildings. Projections suggest that they may eventually hit 10,000 employees at that location, so it's a fantastic thing for the Valley from an economic development standpoint. It is on our land, and so it's generating revenue that we reinvest into the operations of the university. The buildings themselves, however, were developed privately by a joint venture. And so they made their decisions, but they built as much parking as anyone I've ever seen. And so did a good job with that. But we have actually been talking with the city of Tempe for some time now. And in fact, actually it was the university who suggested to them, we really need to be looking at this comprehensively. And so we're in the process of doing a joint traffic study with the city of Tempe that we expect to be completed, at least first phase, sometime within the next month or two. And so we will be looking at things such as, traffic that's coming to the university as a destination, traffic internal to the campus. We're also in downtown Tempe, so it's a confluence of a lot of things coming together. My own belief is that there are some investments that definitely will have to be made. Certainly we're concerned about the ability of people as pedestrians, faculty, staff, students, to move about the campus. We think that's going to have to evolve, and there are going to have to be new solutions there. But also people who are, moving through the campus to go other places. So when we put the lease together for what became Marina Heights, we did allow for some land, it's university land, that would be set aside for additional lanes if and when the city chooses to build them. So they're certainly looking at that as well. We definitely are doing everything we can. We provide some subsidization, frankly, of the light rail passes that are available to people. It works better if you live someplace close to a light rail stop. I don't. So at least right now, that's my official excuse for not taking a light rail. But we know over time that's going to be expanded as well. But I do believe that, as you've suggested, that we need to make some adjustments and some investments. So we're thinking both about pedestrian access and making sure people are safe as they cross streets. It probably means we're not all crossing at grade, whether it's university or rural. Those are probably the two main ones that we've talked about. And then we've also talked a little bit about how do we make sure that we're reducing the traffic as much as we possibly can, given the fact that this is one of the major employment hubs in the entire valley. So, easier to say than it is to do, but we're at work on that. And final thing, I think you're probably over in College Avenue Commons. So the university invested about $5 million into reconstruction of the streets in that area as part of a condition of constructing that building and being able to close that street for special events, as we now do, right in front of College Avenue Commons. And, we built some features into that street that attempted to do some traffic calming and to make it safer for both pedestrians without simply closing it to vehicles, which would have been problematic. And it's not perfect. There's definitely a lot of traffic out there at high times, but I'm actually personally amazed at how well it seems to work. And, people are seeming to adjust. We just need to do a whole lot more of that in more locations.
Hi, Crystal Griffith, School of Film, Dance, and Theater. Forgive my ignorance. I just wanted to see if there's if I could get any word on the status of what's happening after the fact that the Mesa initiative to expand and to have an arts campus there just went down in flames. So I have, it's my school, so I also have some interest in there, but I wondered if you could give us a sense of what's going on with that.
Well, I can make a couple of comments. The first one would be that I don't think anything has changed in terms of the Mesa City leadership's interest in accomplishing the types of things that initiative was intended to do. And there continue to be discussions with leadership about what form those might take and when that might happen. I think if you look at what the City of Mesa has done over the last 5 or so years, it's very clear that they believe for a city of their size, which is 500,000 people, that higher education is a very important part of their, living and learning community. And so they're figuring out ways to do that. They've invested, for example, about $12 million to date in infrastructure around our Polytechnic campus in Mesa. They would like to do more in downtown Mesa. So I think, there will be a new idea. I mean, in the way our democratic process works, the people have spoken on the particular proposals in front of them, but I think it's likely that there will be something else that, that is proposed. It's not mine to sort of represent the City of Mesa, obviously, but that same interest and commitment continues to be there. And the City of Mesa has been great to work with in a variety of ways. And so, we think there will be another approach to that to try to accomplish some of those things, whether it's in Mesa or downtown Phoenix or elsewhere. I know, Mark, if you wanted to add into that.
So I can't promise you that we're going to Mesa, but it would be nice if they found a way for us to do something with them. But we've already had a meeting with your dean and associate dean to look at alternative spaces that we might be developing in the short term while we look at long-term solutions for the growth of the college and the need for the facilities that are required for it to do all the things that it's doing right now.
If what Eileen Klein talked about in terms of the insurance comes to pass with the legislature, what vision do you have for getting faculty input? This year in particular, the reason why I ask is we've had a lot of questions about why won't my policy cover so-and-so, and that was how we discovered or were reminded that that was currently in the hands of the state legislature and the state system. But if we're able to be independent of that, what vision would you have for faculty involvement in getting the process going?
Sure. Well, thank you for that question. Until a couple of months ago, it seemed like various aspects of healthcare policy was about all we thought about. Now there are lots of new things to think about. I don't know if that's good news, bad news, or what, but the way that we're organized now, the State Department of Administration is the plan sponsor for group health insurance for not only state employees but also university employees, and they deal with plan design and how many carriers there will be and what's covered and what isn't. And I think we all know, I probably don't need to say this, economics is a huge factor in all of those types of deliberations, and it's not simple. It's not as though we don't have any input. We have some, but we don't. It's not in our control. And so you heard Eileen Klein talk about the idea that we want to be able to shape all of these things and focus all these things on what we think is exactly the right design for either our university or all 3 public universities in the state. And We know right now that overall, higher education employees have better health experience, if you will, sort of from an actuarial standpoint than the rest of the state. And so we've had several analyses done that show that we're in essence subsidizing financially the rest of state government. So, we kind of look at that and say, well, gosh, we'd sure like to be able to, manage our own plans, have the finances reflect only higher education experience, et cetera. If I'm a state legislator, of course, I'm going to say, well, okay, that's fantastic. The last study was about a $30-some million difference. In other words, that higher education was subsidizing the rest of state government to the tune of about $30 million a year. But to them, that's a problem, right? Because we go somewhere else, and they've got a $30 million problem in the rest of the budget. So never simple. I have had experience managing a health plan at my last 2 jobs before coming here, and I've always said to everybody, be careful what you wish for. There are positive aspects to it, but they're also difficult decisions. And your specific question, though, is what would you anticipate? And I think that if we had the opportunity to have more control over plan design and reimbursements and those types of things, that we would absolutely want, and I'm going to say employee because I think it's certainly faculty, but it's also staff as well. We would want representation and input. The whole enterprise concept, I mean, we all know what's been happening with public higher education, not only in Arizona, but across the country, and there has been significant public disinvestment in public higher education. Now, I suspect we could probably take a poll in here, and it might be unanimous that that's not necessarily a good idea from a policy perspective, but the fact is it's been happening, and so, as President Crow often says to us in one of the meetings we have with his leadership team is, our job is to figure out how to do the best that we can to advance Arizona State University and, serve our stakeholders, particularly students, regardless of what the environment is, and we've done that. So, forgive me, but, using business parlance here, we've had to adjust our business model pretty significantly. And one of the things that is sort of implicit in this enterprise concept is, we're going to continue to advocate for the wisdom of public investment in public higher education every opportunity that we get, whether it's with the Board of Regents or the governor or the legislature or the public or anyone else we can get to listen to us. That said, we also will do everything that we can to make sure that we are, cost effective in terms of the services that we're providing, and that means that if we have an opportunity to, sort of manage more aspects of what is a pretty large enterprise, we're probably going to be ahead by doing that. So, whether you're talking about health insurance or retirement or property insurance or liability insurance or a whole lot of other things that you probably don't find very exciting, our goal is to make sure that we can do that in the best way possible, for our community and for our stakeholders. And so that's sort of where this fits. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah. Well, I think what we're really wanting is to make sure we have faculty input into whatever the next generation of all of these things are. And we appreciate your attention to it.
Sure. Well,
Thank you.
And as an employee, I want that too. So,
okay.
If we have that opportunity, then there will be a lot of details to work out.
Right. Any other questions? Okay.
If I might, and I know you have Mike Kingery, one of my colleagues here, to talk a little bit specifically about travel. No one asked me a question about that, but before leaving the podium here, and maybe to take a little bit of pressure off Mike, I think we all understand that the Concur system is far from perfect, and we're going to continue to work on it. Mike will give you some background about, how did we get here, what decisions were made, what options might we have. But the main thing I wanted to communicate to people today is that I know a number of you, maybe not all in this room, but a number of faculty, took a fair amount of time, obviously, to provide some suggestions, ask some questions, and some thoughts about how that might be improved. And Provost Searle was good enough to share that with me. And so, we're working on that. We probably will never be able to make it perfect. We don't control everything, since this is a product that we didn't develop, but it is the leading product in the marketplace. And I don't want to steal too much of your thunder here, Mike, but to the extent that, it's within our power, our goal is to make it easier for people to use. And, whether that means, training or trying to influence the functionality of how the system is designed, or maybe having more and different people involved, we're going to do that. And that's something that we're working with Becky's committee on, is to perhaps put together a working group on, including faculty that can give us suggestions, we can bounce ideas off of, et cetera. And so, we'll do everything that we can to try to improve that. And so I wanted to, at least before I left, mention that. So thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
While Mike Kingery comes up here, I just wanted to let you know that we have been in communication and that your questions were amazing. I mean, a long list of them. Come on up, it's okay. And so that we are going to be developing it was just too much for us to deal with in one presentation, and the answers aren't easily brought forward. So we will have a Senate task force that will be looking at this based on your all's input. And this is directional.
Okay. Thank you very much. I only have a few slides, and actually they've already addressed half of them. So, oh, do I have a clicker? All right. So here's a few of the things we're going to talk about real quickly. I only have probably 7 to 10 minutes, so I realized that you all were not hired here to process travel. You were hired for instruction and research. Travel does take some time to do. It's not as easy, it's not as intuitive as the system as we would like, as Dr. Olson mentioned. But we are working on some things that will hopefully make it easier for everybody. Here's a very brief background on my ASU trip, is what we call the Concur solution. Concur is the company. We've been up for a little over 1.5 years now. We have processed quite a few reports for over 8,000 ASU travelers, but we are continually looking for ways to improve the system. It's a software as a solution, and it's, let's see, we can configure it somewhat, but there are some limitations. So we are trying to do, and a lot of those limitations are based on our state travel policy or our financial systems. So there's a lot of moving parts there that we're trying to get together. Travel at ASU is very diverse. I mean, we've got, every department does it differently, every college does it differently. Athletics travel, recruiting versus team travel versus a conference versus research out in the middle of the desert, all very different things. And we're trying to get a solution that all of our trips can fit into. It's not easy. We do know your frustrations. We've had same frustrations on our end. It is not as intuitive. We are trying to work with Concur as much as we can. They have recently developed a higher ed vertical, the company has, and we're teaching them that they need to focus on the unique aspects of university travel versus just the corporate world. As Dr. Olson said, they are the global leader in this kind of software solution, this kind of package. There are hundreds of universities that we meet with regularly throughout the year, representatives from them, with Concur, a conference that they host. And we try and get all the best ideas that we can together to make this easier for everybody. You can see some of the universities there that use it. We also developed a travel advisory group as we were going through implementation, and that had business managers and the admins from across the university, all the different areas, athletics, provost office, OCED, and each of the colleges, to try and see what is it that they wanted, what can we make it. This was our opportunity to simplify a lot of things for a number of reasons. some of the members of the group wanted to keep some more controls and separation in place. That's the kind of thing that we're revisiting all the time. So I'm in the process of scheduling another travel advisory group meeting in February. One of the other aspects when we brought up this program, this system, is we also got a new travel management company, new travel agency called Anthony Travel. They specialize in university travel for almost 3 decades now. That's pretty much all they do. They started out with athletics travel, and they have expanded to general university travel. They have hundreds of universities around the world and other big clients like the NCAA and the NFL and various things like that to put on these huge events, but also they can help with any of your booking, your flights, your hotel, car rentals. If you book through the system or if you call them and there's a problem with your travel, there's a blizzard that hits or there's a strike for one airline, you can call them. They will work with you. They will make sure they can get you home as quickly as possible. There is no cost to you guys as the traveler for these services to use Anthony Travel. So just pick up the phone and call them. They'll help you. At the same time, we also launched a travel card program. This is like a P card, but it is not a P card. It is just for travel. It's assigned to the traveler. There's no credit check. There's no fingerprint. It's paid by ASU. You can use it for all of your travel expenses. Those expenses flow into the system, and you click and drag them to the proper expense report. But you are not out of pocket any money when you use that card. So the way the system is designed is if you book in the system, you use the travel card, everything flows together much simpler. I know a lot of people don't want to do that. They want to use their card. They want to get their rewards points, whatever the case may be. You can still do all that. It just will make it a little bit more difficult to process. But you still get all your, frequent flyer miles and anything else that you would get hotel rewards points based on where you're staying or flying. So the Travel Service Center is in financial services. It's Margot Cabrera's team. She's been here for a long time and knows how travel works here at ASU, and we have a team of experts there in the system. If you are having questions with anything, please contact them. Some of the issues that came up from the faculty feedback was it takes too long. I spent hours doing this. It shouldn't take that long. I agree, it shouldn't take that long. If it takes you more than 15 minutes, call us. Let us help you. Let us do it for you. If you're having an issue booking something, call Anthony Travel. They are experts. That's what they do. That's their business. They can help you. But we don't want you to get frustrated. We have materials out there. If you're looking for a quick answer, you don't always have time to do that, call us. If you are fortunate enough to have delegates, whether it's in the dean's office or in your department, assign those duties to them. They can do everything for you. The only thing they cannot do for you is submit an expense report because you have to certify that you spent money on official state business, that kind of thing. But they can do everything else for you. They can see all your reports. They can see all your travel card transactions. They can see the complete history. So, and if there's someone that you need to be a delegate and they don't want to be, let us know and we'll make them one for you. So what President Puckett mentioned earlier is we are coming up with a faculty travel committee. It will be a small working group with some faculty representation. I'm not sure how you all will decide that. Okay, we will constantly try to see. Yes, what's working, what's not working. Let's address the big issues. There might be some some of our better departmental travel administrators out there as well to help. Let's get their input. And they can meet with the ASU travel group regularly, however much you want that to be, monthly, quarterly, whatever it is. We are more than willing to come out to any of your areas to help you with training. We'll sit next to you. We'll guide you through it. The one issue with travel a lot of times is people don't do it very often. So once you learn it one time, you don't travel for 6 more months, you forget it, and then you have to kind of relearn it. So we are rolling out an infrequent traveler program that will help with, send an email reminder, okay, you're 5 days out from your trip. Have you remembered to do this, this, and this? Or welcome back from your trip a couple weeks after the trip end date. Here's what we need from you. Do you have any questions? What can we help you with? That kind of thing. And point you to the quick links to get you where you need to go. I think that's about everything. I do have on each row there was a stack of business cards that have the contact information for ASU Travel, for Anthony Travel, and for U.S. Bank, which issues the travel card. So please share those among everybody. I would hope if you want to grab a couple, if there's enough, put one in your wallet or your purse and tape the other one to your monitors in your office so that you'll have that information right there. But otherwise, just please reach out to us. We don't want you to be frustrated. We're here to help you. Let us please do so.
Thank you very much. Let me see if there are any questions. We will, if you'll give us some extra cards, we'll get them out to Polly West and let's see, Donna, you're in my left-hand screen right now. Downtown, any questions there?
No, I don't think so. Thank you, though.
Okay. Thank you. West?
Yeah, we have a question, and before we ask the question, I want to make sure, are we going to be able, I know you answered it, but I couldn't hear. Are we going to get those cards over here at the West Campus?
Yes, we'll make sure you get them in the mail.
Right, and we do have a question. Yeah, I don't think you need to move.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mansoor Javidan. I'm a professor at Thunderbird School of Global Management. Thank you for the update. I was happy to hear all kinds of suggestions to improve the functionality. What I didn't hear is, based on the feedback that you've received from faculty and staff, what are the specific complaints, the specific areas of improvement that need to be fixed? And who's going to fix it, and by when? You gave us a number of suggestions on how to reduce the burden of working with the current system. So my question is specifically how to improve the system itself to make it easier.
Okay, we are looking at a few things. We're looking at simplifying the request process, eliminating some of the fields. We're looking at actually all sorts of ideas. Are we going to centralize the whole request and expense report function university-wide so that maybe you guys are just doing an online form? Here's the details. I come back from the trip. Here's my receipts. Scan them, send them in, and we'll do it for you. That's one of the things we're looking at. One of the issues was they wanted group travel, and you can do group travel in Concur now. I can't really, there were a lot of specific individual line items, and I don't have the list of them to go through one by one, but that is how we're addressing them, one by one. And we are working with Concur and now with this new faculty group, travel group, to address those and just try and hit the most important ones and keep working our way down the list.
I have a follow-up question, please. Thank you for that response. I need to share with you that the faculty and staff at Thunderbird view the prospect of interacting with Concur with great deal of anxiety, and I'm one of them. So my colleagues at Thunderbird are waiting with great anticipation to know, is there a timeline for hearing specific improvements and actions that have been completed to simplify the process? I'm asking specifically for some form of timeline.
I don't know that we have a timeline right now until we get this faculty group up and running. If you have, like I said, we're always working on it. We're always trying to improve it and working with Concur. I wish I could give you a specific timeline, but I'm sorry, I don't really have one for you other than it's constant. We're always trying to find better solutions for things. And I worked with Catherine and Bronwyn on your campus to try and see what are they having issues with and see how we can streamline things. So we're in constant contact with each other about travel.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Keith at Polytechnic, any questions or comments?
No questions, thank you.
And none here in Tempe? I want to say that I appreciate the Senate bringing forward the questions. We sent them forward to Michael. And if you are really interested in serving on this task force group, we really appreciate you just send your name to me, and we will make sure that, we can solicit some volunteers, especially those who have been successful with it and those who have been frustrated with it. Maybe if we have a combination that we'll be able to. And thank you for your time. We really appreciate your help with us. I know that these presentations have taken quite a bit of time, but I'll go through my chair's report rather quickly and then get on to the voting for the curriculum items. As Dr. Klein noted, the Arizona Board of Regents will be meeting on the ASU campus this Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The public is invited to all board meetings that are not executive sessions or invitation-only receptions. Their Arizona Board of Regents website has the meeting times and details, and you can also, they're live streamed, so you can also view them from your computer. I think there are some very, very interesting things coming forward in both the academic committees and the legislative committees, so it would be nice for you to be informed on that, and as we continue to look for ways to work together. Thursday morning's ABOR breakfast will include acknowledgement of the research of 11 faculty here who are engaging undergraduates in research, and we will have representation from across all 4 campuses. The units have been told of senators who are whose terms are expiring and the need to hold elections. We welcome you to re-up. We need your wisdom. We need your service and your experience here. If you should decide not to run again, please encourage other people within your units to run, because this is really a fascinating way to look at how the universities are being, how the university is being managed and what kind of shared governance input you can give us. We have some senator spotlights to review. Chuck, if you would look at the first one was December's spotlight. We have Greg Stone, who represents psychology. He's been at ASU for 30 years and is in his 2nd year on the Senate. His research focus is neural network modeling, pattern recognition, and psycholinguistics. Greg got involved in the Senate by serving as a substitute and decided this would be a good way to make a contribution to the university and see how it actually works. He's able to communicate the Senate's work to members of his units and finds it rewarding when someone learns about something of relevance to them that they would have not otherwise known about. He's currently chair of the Research and Creative Activities Committee, which means he serves on the executive committee and is also a member of the Open Access Task Force. And his work with the RCA was to oversee report last year on the reproducibility crisis in science. So we thank Greg for his service. The January spotlight is on Chris Kaiselka, right here. Chris is Secretary of the Academic Assembly and University Senate and has served in the Senate in this capacity for 5 years. Chris is an academic professional in the Polytechnic School, Fulton School of Engineering. She's in her 27th year at ASU, earning both the baccalaureate and graduate degrees here. Chris is the chair of the Committee on Committees and participates on task force and work groups. The Committee on Committees works to identify future leaders at the campus and university level and facilitates the academic assembly elections. I would like to now call on Elsie Moore, Tempe Campus President, for a special remembrance.
Good afternoon. Back in early December, the first week of December, the Academic Senate lost a very, very active and important member, and that was Nora Gustafson. Nora I came to know really well back when I chaired the Governance Grievance Committee. We had a really nasty case, and our recommendation was rejected. But at any rate, she worked really hard on that case, and she helped me to accept that our recommendation was going to be rejected. During that time, Nora struck me as totally invulnerable, and that's why when I heard she'd passed away, I was thoroughly shocked. Many of you probably didn't know Nora. I don't know. But I can tell you, she worked really, really hard for the faculty and Academic Senate. So, you know, on your way home, wish her well on her journey. She's probably there already, but you just found out. Thank you.
Thank you. We have new business now. Carolyn Harrison, Chair of CAPC, will now present the first read of the CAPC motions.
Following motions will be brought before the CAPC committee this Thursday for discussion. This is the first read. If any of you have any comments or any information you'd like to provide, please send it to me by this Thursday preferably, but no later than the next set meeting, and these items will have their second read. The next set meeting is February 27th. The items in Appendix A will also be discussed at this Thursday's CAPC meeting. It will be the last time they are discussed, so if you have any comments on them, please again email them to me before Thursday morning. The following items are presented for the first read. Request from the College of Nursing and Health Innovation for the establishment of a graduate certificate, adult gerontology nurse practitioner. Request from the College of Nursing and Health Innovation for the establishment of a graduate certificate, pediatric nurse practitioner. Request for the College of Nursing and Health Innovation for the establishment of a graduate certificate, women's health nurse practitioner. And request from the College of Integrative Sciences and Arts for the establishment of a graduate degree, MA in Narrative Studies.
Thank you, Caroline. We now have, under old business, we have the new course proposal consent agenda. It was sent to the senators electronically on January 17th. We're offering these courses for approval as a consent agenda. But before we take a vote, are there any courses that any senator would like to remove from the consent agenda? I'll go first to West Campus. Alejandra, any to remove?
No, we don't have anything to remove. Thanks.
Thank you. Donna Cataldo, Downtown Campus, any courses to remove from the consent agenda?
No courses to remove.
Thank you. Polytechnic, Keith?
No courses to remove here.
All right, Tempe, anybody at the microphones? Okay. We'll now take a vote on a Senate Motion 2732, new course proposal consent agenda. Seems to have slowed down. Do you think we have everyone?
No, I don't think that's everyone.
Okay, 58. We had 80 earlier.
So we can do a campus test real quick.
Yeah, I think we need to. Okay, so you need to develop a new one? Okay. Let's give Chuck some time to develop a new question. Sometimes some of these clickers drop off. We haven't figured out why. We're not going to do a voice vote here in Tempe, though. We might do a show of hands. Thank you.
Okay, that says click your campus. A for downtown, B for Poly, C for Tempe, D for West Campus. Okay, so we'll do the clickers with Tempe and hand count the other campuses.
Okay. Okay, so what I would like for each of the campus presidents to take a poll at Poly, Poly West and downtown. How many yes, how many no, and how many abstain? And Chris, if you could...
Tempe voters, go ahead and use your clickers.
What they say.
Because they're working in Tempe.
And here in, should we do a...
Well, now we have 77, so it looks like it may be working now.
Okay, so we'll try it again. Okay.
I think we're going to be good this time.
We're going to be good this time.
Okay.
All right, let's
Tell
try
me
it
when
again.
to close the poll.
Okay. Do you approve SM 2732 new course proposals? Okay, go ahead. 86 yes, 0 no, 3 abstain. Okay, thank you. Carolyn.
We're presenting the following motions as a CAPC consent agenda for your approval. These had their first read at the last Senate meeting and were approved at the last CAPC meeting. I will try to read these quickly. Request from the Herberger Institute for Design and Art, School of Art, for the establishment of an undergraduate degree, BA in Fashion. Request from the Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering, School of Sustainable Engineering, the Built Environment, for the establishment of an undergraduate degree, BSc in Environmental Engineering. Request from the College of Integrative Sciences and Arts for the establishment of a graduate degree, MS in Integrative Social Science. Request from the College of Integrative Sciences and Arts for the establishment of an undergraduate degree, BS in Counseling and Applied Psychological Science. Request from the College of Health Solutions for the name change of an undergraduate certificate from Child Nutrition to School Nutrition. Request from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, School of Politics and Global Studies, establishment of a graduate degree, MA in Global Security. Request from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, School of Human Evolution and Social Change, establishment of an undergraduate certificate, Social Science Research Methods. Request from the New College of Interdisciplinary Arts and Sciences, School of Social and Behavioral Sciences, for the establishment of a graduate degree, Master of Science in Forensic Psychology. And request from the New College of Interdisciplinary Arts and Sciences, School Social and Behavioral Sciences, for the establishment of a graduate degree, PhD in Law and Psychology. I will first go and see if there is anything that anyone would like to have pulled from the consent agenda for further discussion. I will start with the West Campus. Is there anything that you would like to have removed from the consent agenda?
I don't believe so.
Thank you. The downtown campus, is there anything to be removed from the consent agenda?
Nothing from downtown campus.
Thank you. And on the Poly campus, is there anything you'd like to have removed for further discussion from the consent agenda?
Nothing from here, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And in Tempe, is there anything that we should be removed for further discussion? Okay. Then I will go ahead and we will have the vote on the consent agenda. Uh-oh.
So, yeah, this is likely just Tempe, so I would get
Okay.
a hand count.
All right, so I will go to each of the campuses, and if you could give me the count of the vote at each campus. I can't see which is the one on the left, so I'm just going to start with West. Can you give me your vote totals?
Carolyn, you need to give us a...
For the CAPC consent agenda, everybody?
I'm sorry, is there a question from the West Campus?
Can all abstain. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 no's and 2 abstentions. 3 abstentions, sorry.
So the West Campus for no and 3 abstention?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Downtown?
We have all 17 members present that voted yes.
Okay, that's 17 yes, thank you. Holly?
18 members vote yes.
8.
18. 18, no, it's 8. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's 8 yes from Polly.
Yes.
Okay, and then if we can look at the total from Tempe, or, okay. So that's 57 yes in Tempe, and that is a majority, so the consent agenda has passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carolyn. We're now for some very brief committee reports. Donna Cataldo on the learning management system. As you know, some of Blackboard we're looking at both Blackboard and Campus, and she's got an update.
Hi, just very brief. Again, to reiterate, no decision has been made. So there is still the consideration between Blackboard Ultra, which will look, again, to remind everyone, although it's still Blackboard, it will be a different platform. It will also all be cloud-based. And then Canvas is the other alternate that I know some people are familiar with, even if you've been at ASU long enough. There are still, you can still participate as part of the survey, to participate in actually 40-over classes or using the new version of Blackboard. When the surveys have gone out, the numbers reported back are literally 50-50. No decimals in there. 50% for Blackboard, 50% for Canvas. So clearly there's still some work to be done. But again, I can send out, again, information and links to the survey, information to how to become on the steering committee or like the leadership committee to participate with using one of the systems. So, but no decisions have been made yet. That'll be in fall of 2017. So soon.
Is there a site where people can go to look at more information, Donna?
If they go to the UTO site, and I can again send this out, they'll show exactly what's, what is available, what the timeline is, what has been reported from faculty who are involved in the process. I believe there's 144 faculty from all 4 campuses participating. It would be nice to get another 260-odd faculty, but but it's still all available, and I can forward that again, Kathleen, to maybe distribute to our faculty.
Okay, thank you. Shirley, Constitution and Bylaws update.
Just very briefly, our task force on that's reviewing the Constitution and bylaws will have a report and proposal ready for a first reading at the February Senate meeting. And at the March meeting, we'll have our second reading. So heads up, that'll be coming forward for discussion at the first reading, and we hope for a vote at the second
Thank you.
reading.
Becky Ladd, University Services and Facilities Committee, and your committee had a good shout out from Morgan.
We did. I'm not add anything really, but just to say yes, we are collaborating with Morgan and his group, as well as the ASU Police Department. Alan Clark, who's the Director of Emergency Preparedness, has come to us to ask for our input about how to get some procedures available and talk about training. And anyway, so some of this more information will come out next month. So we've been working with him and also the ASU Police Department Chief, Sean Pickens. So again, they're just trying to get our help into being responsive to our concerns, as well as helping them be proactive with other concerns like active shooting, hazardous materials, and so on. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris, Committee on Committees.
In preparation for the Academic Assembly elections, the Committee on Committees is recruiting candidates. This spring, each campus will be electing a new president-elect, and there are 9 vacancies on the grievance committees, CAFT, Governance Grievance, and the AP Grievance Committee. The committee is hard at work identifying and recruiting faculty to run for these positions. We anticipate that much of this work will be complete in February, and we will be ready for the elections, which are planned for April. I'd like to thank the committee members who have been hard at work with this important task. Because of them and their efforts, things are going very well. Thank you very much.
Our Student Faculty Policy Committee, Keith Hollinger, had to leave, but there is an announcement regarding service animals, and his committee and Stephanie Lindquist have both been working very hard on a revision, so I'd like for you to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you. Keith asked me a question at I believe at a committee meeting about 2 months ago about service animals in labs and also comfort animals. So the question is whether or not service animals are required to be in laboratories, and what are the circumstances under which they should not be permitted in laboratories, and also then, of course, how do they contrast with comfort animals. So comfort animals are not specific. They may be something that is recommended by, as I understand it, by a psychiatrist or another physician, but they are not there to specifically aid in a specific disability, especially a physical disability. Service animals there is far more of a mandate to permit service animals to be in a lab unless there's some danger that might be caused to the animal or to human beings than there are for comfort animals, which are not required to be in laboratories or classrooms, and in fact are under the ASU policy are not permitted in classrooms or laboratories. So given the ambiguity and the questions that we had about this, I went to the Office of General Counsel. We looked at policies. Sorry. I'm losing the microphone here. And we looked at the policies and we wrote some clarifications for the deans. And I'm fairly certain I sent out that clarification, but I think I didn't want to do it until I had cleared it. So I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to double check, Kathy. But if I didn't, I will do it so the deans will have the information necessary so that faculty know what the rights are of animals in laboratories and classrooms.
Thank you. Okay. This has been a long but informative meeting, and I really thank you for all of your attention and your staying with us. Open forum, is there anything here for open forum? Begin with, well, we've got someone coming to the mic here in Tempe.
Hi, Eric Kostelich, President's Professor of Mathematics.
We can,
I know it's
speak
late.
into the mic.
I know it's late, but we have one issue here. In discussion boards, whether that's on Blackboard or hosted through Piazza, one of our instructors has had issues with students posting links to illicit copies of the textbooks, and some of these books are north of $250. You can understand the motivation for doing this. So in this particular case, there was a complaint made somewhere to the university, which came to our director, which came back to the instructor, who was asked to remove the offending post. And so the question here is, to what extent do we as faculty have responsibility for policing copyright and other kinds of issues on discussion boards? Now, whether that's an ASU property or Piazza or something else. So that's the issue.
It's a great issue. We'll discuss that in UAC and forward it to the appropriate committee. Thank you very much. Anyone else in Tempe? Wes, do you have anything for open forum?
No, we don't have anything.
Thank you. Polytechnic?
Nothing here.
Thank you. Downtown?
We're fine, thank you.
Okay. End of the agenda. Move to adjourn. So moved. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.